All right, so get ready, because today we're diving deep into Adam Grant's hidden potential.
Ooh, hidden potential.
If you're trying to figure out how to achieve more, learn faster, or just figure out what you're really capable of,
hmm
you are in the right place.
That's right. What's really fascinating about Grant's approach in this book is how he breaks potential down, really into three core areas.
Okay.
So we have building the right character skills, then you've got keeping yourself motivated, and then also, really importantly,
Yeah,
understanding those external forces that impact your journey.
interesting. Okay, so the book's divided into these three sections,
Right,
but for our deep dive today, we're pulling out highlights from all of them.
right.
So no need to read the whole thing.
Think of this as like your cheat sheet
Oh, I like that.
to the most actionable and maybe even surprising
Yeah,
insights from all of Grant's work.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with character skills then.
Let's do it.
One of Grant's big arguments is that potential isn't about where you begin,
Okay.
but how far you travel.
Right.
He really pushes back on this idea that we're all just born with, like, a fixed amount of talent.
Yes, I love that. And to illustrate this, one of the best stories he shares is the story of the Raging Rooks.
Okay.
So this is a chess team from Harlem, and they defied all expectations, not because they were,
Right.
these like, you know, crazy prodigies,
Yeah.
but because their coach, Maurice Ashley, he focused as much on building their character
Oh, wow.
as their actual chess skills.
Hold on. So a chess team from Harlem
Right.
becomes, like, national champions.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone is a
Well,
huge feat.
you know,
But to do it by focusing on, like, emotional regulation and stuff, that's pretty remarkable.
it is. It is.
It kind of makes you wonder, is it the underdog
Mm-hmm.
spirit that really drives that kind of success?
Right.
Grant seems to think so.
He does. And you know what? There's actually research to back this up. They found that, get this,
Yeah.
kindergarten teachers, their evaluations of a child's character,
Okay.
things like discipline, like being helpful, these were actually a better predictor
Wow.
of future earning potential
Right.
than standardized test scores.
Okay, wait.
So,
So a 5-year-old's ability to, like, share and follow directions
yes.
is a better indicator of their future success than their academic performance.
That's what the research suggests.
I never thought about it that way. Like, how are teachers even, like, evaluating that?
It boils down to behavior.
Okay.
So can they control their impulses?
Yeah.
Do they cooperate with others?
Okay.
Can they, focus on a task?
Right.
These seemingly simple skills,
Yeah.
they actually lay the groundwork for future success,
Wow.
both personally and professionally.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so this challenges this idea that character is, something
Right.
you're just born with, right?
Mhm. Grant's argument is that, no, this is a set of skills
Interesting.
that can be learned
Oh, yeah.
and strengthened over time.
So just like those raging rooks, honed their emotional regulation on the chessboard,
Right.
we can all cultivate those character traits
Yes.
that lead to success.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm convinced about the importance of character, but what about this sponge concept that Grant talks about?
Ah, the sponge. Right.
Yes.
So think about someone like Melody Hobson, right?
Okay.
Went from, fairly modest beginnings
Yeah.
to becoming the co-CEO of Ariel Investments,
Wow.
chair of the board at Starbucks.
Yeah. Huge.
And she really credits her success to her sponge-like ability to absorb information.
Interesting.
But she's not the only one. Julius Yego, the Kenyan javelin thrower,
Yeah.
learned his craft by watching YouTube videos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's not just about, like, soaking up information, right?
Right.
It's about how you filter it,
Yeah.
how you apply it in a
Okay.
way that works for you.
It's exactly
Right. Like, Julius Yego didn't just copy what he saw.
right.
He adapted these techniques to fit his own style.
Exactly.
And that's what led him to become a world champion.
Right.
I see how that ties into this idea of character being something we can develop.
Right.
It's not, like, passive,
Right.
right? We're not just passively absorbing information. We're actively shaping it
Yes.
to fuel our own growth.
I love that active engagement
Yeah.
with knowledge and experiences. That's what unlocks potential. It's about taking ownership
Mhm.
of your learning journey
Yeah.
and constantly seeking out new information and
Yeah.
perspectives.
I love that.
Yeah.
So true.
hmm
All right, so we've talked about character skills and the whole sponge concept.
Right. Right.
But, staying motivated,
Yeah.
It can be tough.
It's hard.
Life throws curveballs, we hit roadblocks,
Right.
and, sometimes that initial enthusiasm just fizzles out.
It does. It
So,
does.
how do we keep that momentum going when things get tough?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's where Grant's idea of scaffolding comes in,
Okay,
right?
okay.
He describes it as building these temporary support systems
Okay.
to help us guide our learning and growth.
Okay.
It's kind of like having that coach in your corner
Yeah, yeah.
that can provide the structure and guidance
Right.
when you need it most.
Okay, you've convinced me about these character skills,
Yeah,
but how do we keep that momentum going, especially when life gets tough? I
right.
mean, is it really just as simple as, finding the right support system?
Well, it's definitely not just about willpower.
Okay.
Grant actually uses the Tetris effect to kind of illustrate this.
Okay.
You know that thing where people who play Tetris for hours start seeing falling blocks everywhere?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've totally experienced that.
Right.
But wait, how does playing Tetris connect to, scaffolding and motivation?
Well, it shows us that our brains naturally seek external structures
Oh, okay.
to kind of help us manage challenges.
Mm.
So we can use that to our advantage by consciously building support systems around our goals.
Okay, got it, got it.
Yeah.
So, mentors, coaches, even just, supportive communities,
Exactly.
these can all act as our scaffolding.
Right. Exactly.
So we're not just relying on, our own internal drive.
Right.
We're actually, being strategic about seeking external support.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you're going to need that external support. You're going to need people to kind of guide you and direct you and support you in those moments where it's difficult.
Yeah, yeah, totally makes sense. Okay, but what about this underdog effect, though?
Yeah.
That feeling of wanting to prove all the doubters wrong?
Right. Right.
A powerful motivator.
It is powerful, but
But isn't it a little bit risky?
yes, it can be.
What if those doubts are actually, valid?
Exactly. That's the thing, right? So while, yes, the underdog effect can be a huge motivator,
Hmm,
it's important to be very discerning about whose opinions are actually fueling our fire.
that's true.
Grant emphasizes that, the most effective doubts often come from the people who genuinely want to see us succeed.
Right.
Those who are challenging us constructively
Yeah.
to help us reach our full potential.
So, people who will give us that, honest,
Yes.
supportive feedback,
Yeah,
but also, help us see our blind spots and push us to grow.
exactly. People who are going to be truly honest with you, but do it in a way that's supportive and helpful.
Yes. Love that.
Yeah,
Okay, so we've got to find those people.
right.
But Grant also, challenges us to rethink how we approach, learning and practice.
Yeah, he's got some really interesting insights there.
He does. He argues that sometimes, traditional methods,
Oh.
just rote repetition and drills,
Yeah,
can be less effective
yes.
than something he calls deliberate play.
Yeah, deliberate play. I love this concept.
Okay, deliberate play.
Yeah,
So, are we talking about turning, learning into a game?
essentially, yes.
Okay.
It's about taking the skills you need to develop
Yeah.
and incorporating them into activities that are, yes, challenging, but also super engaging and fun.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. And one of the coolest examples he shares is Evelyn Glennie.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So she is a world-renowned percussionist
Okay.
who happens to be profoundly deaf.
Wait, a deaf percussionist?
Yes.
That's incredible.
I know, right? And her story is such a testament to this idea of deliberate play.
Wow.
Because her teacher, Ron Forbes,
Okay.
he designed all these exercises that gradually increased in difficulty,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And he turned them into this game of making these increasingly fine distinctions.
Interesting.
So not only did this keep her super engaged, but it also helped her develop this incredible sensitivity to
Yeah.
vibrations and rhythm.
Wow, that's such a cool example. So even with a significant disability,
Right.
she achieved mastery by turning practice into a form of play.
Right.
But I feel like we often hear about the importance of deliberate practice,
Yes.
which sounds a lot more like those focused, repetitive drills.
You're right. And those two are often confused.
Okay.
But Grant argues that, especially when we're talking about complex skills,
Okay.
deliberate play can be way more effective.
Okay. Okay.
And he uses Steph Curry as an example.
Oh, wow.
One of the greatest shooters in NBA history.
Steph Curry, the guy who makes those, like, impossible three-pointers.
Yeah, exactly. And his trainer, Brandon Payne,
Okay.
he used a mix of traditional drills, right?
Yeah.
But also incorporated a lot of this deliberate play.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they used fun challenges, targets, time limits. They like literally turned practice into a game.
So Steph Curry, the guy who makes those impossible
Yeah.
three-pointers, he uses deliberate play.
Yes.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah,
He always looks like he's having so much fun out there on the court.
right.
I could see how this could be, like, a game changer for learning, like, anything.
Anything, yeah.
Really? But is this all just about, like, individual growth?
Right.
What about, like, working together?
You're transitioning us perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
Because Grant also explores this, right? How teams can actually achieve these extraordinary results through what he calls collective intelligence.
Yeah.
And one of the most compelling examples he shares is the Chilean mine rescue.
Oh, yes. The story of those 33 miners trapped underground for 69 days.
Yes.
Talk about a testament to human resilience
Is
and ingenuity.
Yeah, for sure. And what's so fascinating about this story is that the rescue,
Yeah.
it wasn't just like, one brilliant leader.
Right.
It was really the result of this like really diverse group of experts coming together, sharing their knowledge,
Right.
working collaboratively to solve this like incredibly complex problem.
That's amazing. So what did they do?
They created what Grant calls a lattice system.
A lattice system. What's that?
Yeah. So think of it as like a network of communication and collaboration that cuts across hierarchies.
Okay.
So instead of relying on like a traditional top-down approach where
Yeah.
all the decisions flow from the top,
Yeah.
they encouraged open communication and problem solving at every level.
So everyone has a voice,
Exactly.
regardless of their, like, position or expertise.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And they even talk about Igor Prostakis, the young engineer who actually came up with this critical solution for accessing the miners more quickly.
Oh.
He was initially brought in to advise on like the drilling equipment,
Yeah.
but in a lattice system,
Yeah.
his idea, even though he was one of the youngest and least experienced members of the team,
Right.
was heard and considered.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
It's like a really great example of how, like, breaking down silos
Exactly.
and having that, like, open communication
Yes.
can unlock hidden potential,
Right.
not just, at an individual level,
Right.
but within teams
Yeah.
and organizations too.
Exactly.
So how do you create that kind of environment then?
Right. How do you get people to actually feel empowered to contribute?
Yeah, exactly.
Grant says that it starts with choosing leaders
Okay.
who prioritize pro-social skills.
Pro-social skills.
Yeah. So instead of promoting people who are just like dominant or charismatic,
Right.
we should be looking for those who are really great at listening, collaborating, and like bringing out the best in others.
So we're moving away from that stereotype of
Right.
the, like, take charge leader
Exactly.
and focusing more on those who can foster
Right.
a sense of, like, shared purpose
Yeah.
and collective ownership.
Exactly.
It sounds like the Chilean mine rescue is like a perfect example of that in action.
It is. It really is. It highlights this importance of creating a culture where everyone feels valued, respected,
Right.
and empowered to contribute.
Yeah.
And realizing that the best solutions can come from these unexpected sources, from those who may not have the loudest voices,
Yeah.
but they're the ones who bring those really unique perspectives and insights to the table.
This makes me think about how we even, like, select people
Yeah.
for teams and organizations in the first place.
Right.
Grant kind of challenges some of the, like, traditional approaches to hiring, right?
Yeah, he definitely does.
I'm kind of curious to hear more about that.
Yeah, because he argues that we need to move away from this like narrow focus on past achievements and credentials
Yeah.
and instead adopt this more holistic approach to recognizing potential.
Okay.
So instead of just looking at someone's like resume or GPA, we should be looking for those signs of their character skills, their ability to learn, adapt,
Right.
and their potential to thrive in a challenging environment.
So not just what they've done,
Right.
but what they're capable of becoming.
Exactly.
Okay.
And to illustrate this, he shares this really inspiring story of Jose Hernandez, who overcame poverty and academic challenges to become a NASA astronaut.
Yeah, Jose Hernandez, the astronaut.
Yeah.
He faced rejection from NASA.
Multiple times.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it was partly because their selection process at the time
Yeah.
was too focused on past performance
Yeah.
and didn't really account for potential.
Okay, so his story highlights the importance of recognizing like those
Yes.
upward trajectories and
Exactly.
also taking into account the challenges that
Yeah.
people have faced.
Exactly. Because Jose's journey, his
Yeah.
resilience, his like unwavering determination to reach his goal,
Right.
those were clear indicators of his potential, even if his resume wasn't a perfect match
Right.
for their traditional criteria.
That's incredibly inspiring.
It is.
Okay, but like how do we do this?
Right. How do we actually go about recognizing potential
Yeah.
in a more holistic way?
Right.
Grant actually suggests several things.
Oh.
So things like eliminating unnecessary requirements for credentials and experience,
Right.
taking into account those challenges candidates have overcome,
Yeah.
and using real-time work samples to actually assess skills directly.
Okay.
And he talks about this really cool interview model
Okay.
used by Gil Winch at Call Yakel. It's a call center in Israel.
Okay.
And they actually give candidates real-time work challenges.
So like during the interview process.
Yes, during the interview.
Interesting.
And they even allow for like do-overs.
Wow.
So it's about moving away from like that interrogation style interview.
Right, right.
And giving people a chance to actually demonstrate their skills in action.
I like that. That sounds so much fairer.
It is.
And like more insightful too?
Right, because instead of just talking about your skills, you're actually showing what you can do.
Yeah. It seems like a much more effective way to identify hidden talent too, especially
Yeah.
for those who, haven't had like the traditional opportunities to showcase their abilities.
Exactly. It's about creating a more level playing field
Yeah.
and recognizing that potential can often be found in these unexpected places.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. We have covered so much ground here.
We have, yeah.
From scaffolding motivation
Yeah.
to embracing deliberate play
Right.
to rethinking selection systems.
Yeah.
It's clear that Grant is like challenging us to really rethink our assumptions about talent, success,
Yes.
and the nature of potential itself.
He is. He's really challenging us to go deeper, to look beyond the surface. And it's a really powerful reminder that potential isn't some fixed trait. It's something that we can cultivate,
Yes.
both within ourselves and in others.
I love that. It's amazing how Grant like connects all these different ideas together.
Right.
From personal growth to team dynamics and even like systemic change.
Yeah.
It's like he's giving us this roadmap for unlocking potential on like all these different levels.
It's a really multifaceted approach. And what's so refreshing is that it really moves away from this whole idea that, potential is this like fixed trait.
Right.
He really emphasizes that it's something we can actively cultivate,
Yeah.
both in ourselves and in others.
I find that incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
It makes me think about all those times, and I'm sure a lot of you listening have felt the same way, where I've, felt stuck or doubted my own abilities.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm taking away from this is that those feelings,
Yeah.
they don't have to define us.
Right.
We actually have the power to change our trajectory.
We do. And Grant provides a really practical framework for doing just that.
Yeah.
He challenges us to examine our character skills,
Okay.
build that supportive scaffolding, and really embrace discomfort as a catalyst for growth.
That last one, embracing discomfort.
Yeah,
It's so counterintuitive.
it is.
But I'm starting to see how crucial it really is.
Right,
Because if we're constantly playing it safe,
right.
staying in our comfort zones,
Mm-hmm.
how can we expect to discover what we're truly capable of?
Exactly. It's like a muscle, right?
Yeah, man.
If you don't challenge it,
Yeah.
it won't get any stronger.
Right.
And this principle applies not just to individual growth,
Right.
but to teams and organizations as well.
That's so true. Think about innovation.
Yeah.
It rarely comes from like playing it safe.
Right.
It requires us to challenge the status quo, experiment, take risks,
Mm-hmm.
and embrace a certain level of discomfort.
For sure. And that ties back to the idea of the lattice system we discussed. When
Yeah.
we create those environments where people feel safe to speak up,
Mm-hmm.
share unconventional ideas,
Yeah.
even challenge authority.
Yeah.
That's when we can unlock this tremendous amount of collective potential.
Grant does such a good job in this book of bringing all these concepts to life
He does.
through stories.
Yeah.
The Raging Rooks, Evelyn Glennie, Jose Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
These anecdotes aren't just entertaining. They
Oh.
actually like drive home the point.
That
Yeah. that these ideas are actually being put into practice
Right.
by real people
Yes.
who are achieving extraordinary things.
It's so inspiring.
It is.
Yeah.
What stood out to you the most about these stories?
For me, it was that emphasis on resilience
Okay.
and the willingness to embrace challenges.
Yeah.
These individuals didn't let setbacks define them.
Right.
They actually used them as fuel
Yeah.
to learn, adapt, and ultimately achieve those goals.
Right. And it wasn't just about, like, individual grit.
Right.
They also, sought out support, built networks,
Yes.
and recognized that power of collective intelligence.
Absolutely. It's about understanding that potential can really be found in the most unexpected places.
Yeah.
And sometimes that greatest growth comes from those really tough challenges.
It does.
And I think that's just such a powerful message for anyone,
It is.
regardless of their background or their circumstances.
Absolutely, it's a call to action.
It is.
A challenge for us to rethink our assumptions about talent, about motivation, about success, and to create those environments where hidden potential can really flourish.
I love that.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's one small step our listeners can take today to start unlocking their own hidden potential?
It can be as simple as seeking out a mentor
Okay.
or joining a community of like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
Maybe setting a challenging goal, or even just tackling a task that, pushes you a little bit outside of that comfort zone.
I love that small steps consistently taken
Yes.
can lead to some really remarkable transformations.
They can.
And remember, as Grant reminds us, this is a journey, not a destination.
That's right.
There will be ups and downs.
Yeah.
But the process of unlocking your potential is an ongoing adventure filled with possibilities.
Well said. It's been a pleasure diving deep with you.
Likewise, and all of you listening, keep diving deep.
Yes.
Keep exploring and never stop believing in your own potential.
Yes.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep unlocking that extraordinary within you.